Hello, everybody, and welcome to the KISS European race here on Swift Community Live. My name is Jesper Anker. As always, I will be your host for this live stream this evening. How are you all doing? Let me know in the comment section below. If you're watching, I want to see a hi, I want to see a wave emoji. I want to see you say hi because, as always, you are my co-commentators. Yes, it's still all me by myself. We haven't found a guy to fill out the seat next to me. Actually, there isn't a seat next to me, but there should have been a seat next to me. But it's just me and you tonight. So over 30 kilometers of racing on the London course, the London Loop Reverse, which features Foxhill times 2. It will be me and you tonight. So I see Klaus Nielsen is watching, Michael Szymanski's in here, Rod Lee says hi, Darren Hunter, Glenn Selasson, Casey Shum. Hey, James Rowe. I've seen you race once or twice. James, are you on the start list tonight? Speaking of being on the start list tonight, I have just seen Tim Cartwright get onto the start list. And if you're unfamiliar with that name, well, shame on you. Tim Cartwright has been one of the juggernauts on Swift since the early days of Swift racing. Him and David Allenby were known as the two juggernauts, the two riders you wanted to go head-to-head on when you're racing Swift. I also see Richard Morehouse is in the chat, Nathan Guerra, Mason Butler, under 23, one of the under 23 riders on the course tonight. I think there's another rider as well joining him from the youngster division, so that should be some good fun racing. We saw last week racing the New York course where we went up into the sky onto the KOM where Jesper really didn't do his homework and really didn't know where either the com was or where the finish line was. But as always, we're going to go in 4, 3, 2, 1. Sit back, relax, because with another 40 minutes, this will be high-paced, fun Zwift racing at its finest. So this is the KISS Road Race, which means KISS stands for Keep It Simple Stupid. Everything is allowed. Every bike can be ridden. Every power-up can be used, except for the fact you can't really change your weight or do those sort of things on Zwift. I see Johannes Herman is racing tonight. So Johannes Herman of Zwift is, or actually Vision Cycling, is the German national champion of Zwift. He was quite the wrecking ball when he raced earlier this year. I believe he said was it a 3:12 up Box Hill or something similar like that? I remember the second number being 12, but I can't remember what the minute count was. But Johannes Herman won everything. He was just unbeatable. You just could not get even near him. Essentially what Leandro Messinio is now, and it looks like Herman is back in the racing scene. Quinton Mones is here, Ross Crowder, Wayne Elvin, Norman Jansen, and Matt Looker. Matt Looker, who has been racing quite a lot here in the KISS European road race on a Thursday evening. We will have a look to see if he's in the start line tonight. So have a look at the right-hand side of the screen. We see a Fulford, but it's not my co-founder of Cycling Hub, Tim Fulford. We've seen Mr. Fleeman, who raced last Tuesday evening when it was Nathan Guerra on the commentary. He was mentioned quite a lot as he was up near the front. I've also seen the Danish national champion of Swift in there, Søren Bay. Oh, where is he at? He's moving towards the front now. He's in the Danish Dannebroge colors, which is the red and white. So Søren Bay commented earlier today saying that if he can somehow find a way to entertain his kids, he will jump on and race tonight, and it looks like he's done just that. We've got Steve Fleetwood of Vision. Looking further down, we've got John Haggerty of KRT. We've also got Thomas Mueller. If you watch my Swift Riders Germany races on a Tuesday, he's also a familiar face in there. We've got Golev, Eriksson, Hugevert, Tim Cartwright, Daffyd Williams. If you've seen the Torture on the new New York course, it's the reverse 6-train course. At the very end, there's that incline. Daffyd Williams is always the first over the top, but that is our peloton tonight. It's strong, but it's not as strong as it's been for the last few weeks, but it's definitely... This will hurt. We got Peter Ford in here as well of Innovation Cycling. So Peter actually qualified for the live finale of the European E-Crit in London. He participated and he fought valiantly. But here we go, everybody. So today we're doing the London Loop Reverse course. You've already seen them go in through the tunnel, come out on the other side, and now they're going to hit one of the worst climbs on Zwift, Fox Hill. That's no coincidence. It rhymes with something very inappropriate, but Fox Hill just sucks. It's short, it's steep, it goes 6 to 13%, and at the very top there's a kicker where all the difference is going to be made. We have Bergen at the front, the Viking. He tried to shake things up last week on the New York course. He didn't quite succeed in it, but he was definitely active. And it looks like he's picking up the baton today as well, as he's going off the front with Killiam of Canada. But Johannes Herman is not giving them much leeway as they're on Fox Hill. If you can see it up in the top right-hand corner, you can see this is Fox Hill. This is the profile they've got. I believe it's like 2 kilometers, is it? 2 kilometers at X% gradient. You can always help me in the chat below with the actual numbers if you head over to Swift Power or Swift Insiders to get the exact measurements. Rod Lee says you went twice up Box Hill today and got second in the race. Congratulations, Rod. That's great. I know that my good friend and Team Cycling Hub member Quinton Molyneux was also in that race, but this is the start of Fox Hill. You saw the segment start on the left. Bergen is sitting at 6 to 7 watts per kilo. So this will be interesting because I haven't seen that many hilly races with double draft activated. So Swift, do apologize. Swift have activated this new trend, and you may have heard it been said a lot, whether it's by me, Greg Leo, Nathan Guerra, whoever else is active in the Swift racing community. But at this point, you may actually be tired of hearing of double draft as they're racing at 12%. Well, double draft is essentially drafting powered up to the nth degree. So now drafting on Swift is supposed to feel more realistic. But what it's actually turned out to be is now racing on Swift has just gotten so much faster. Breakaways are possible. Speeds have gone exponentially higher than before. And it's just completely revamped how racing is. Therefore, some races have it activated and others don't. But it looks like Johannes Herman has picked off from where he left when he left the scene before. He is 7 watts per kilo on the front, 1 second down to Bergen, 3 seconds down to Killam. We have 30 kilometers of racing in total, so we're 1/10 of the way, and Johannes Herman already has 6-7 seconds on the majority of his contenders. It's only the Viking Bergen who is able to stick with him right now. So I think it's time to ask the age-old question. David versus Goliath. Johannes Herman versus Leandro Messinho. I want to see this happen. Draft, if you're listening. Vision, if you're listening. I want to see Johannes Herman versus Leandro Messinho in a race. There would be enough power to power any nuclear station somewhere. Like, I don't even know. I don't know where I was going with that. But that'd be a great race. I'd really like to see that happen. So Greg Leo, Nathan Guerra, Quinton Lafay. Please get that set up. Sincerely signed, everyone in the community. Looking further back, Søren Bay is playing it nice and safe. Saying that, he's sitting at 6 watts per kilo, 170 beats per M. We got Blair, we got Golev, we got also Killiam. Mason Butler has made it up here, but he's struggling off the back. Come on, Mason. He's rocking the Trek Madone, the SIP 808 wheels, and I'm not sure which kit that is, actually. That must be one of the newer kits to be released in Swift. But he's fighting to get back on. And as you can see, the pace is very, very high tonight. So maybe that says something about start list versus quality of racing isn't directly proportional, because we're missing the Matt Lookers. We're missing the Kim Littles, the Leandro Messinhos, the Greg Leos, the Matt Gardners, or whoever else who usually races this on a Thursday evening. They haven't quite turned up tonight. We've got the Johannes Hermans, the Søren Bays, the Bergens, the Blairs, the Butlers. So we'll see how this one pans out. I see Jens Rasmussen has made it in here. Matt Brandt as well. Brian Shudden. So it's good to see the familiar faces. They're almost at the top now of Fox Hill, and despite the great efforts of Herman and Bergen, they only have about 4 seconds down to the chasing peloton, and we've already seen what Søren Bay can do, and it looks like he is grinding away on his Tax Neo at 70 RPM. He's spinning now those pedals back there, so he's sitting in, he's doing well. He races for Team Experimental, one of the founding teams of racing on Swift. He's sitting in, just making sure to draft, making sure to stay in the wheel. He might even be on this camera angle, which is number 3, which functions as a first point of view, sitting in, making sure he's drafting Bergseth. They can see Herman, they can see Bergen off the front, and with the law of 3 in the whole true draft, double draft, draft 2.0 rule set, that front group will not go as fast because there are only 2 guys. If there was a third guy up there, they would upgrade from a steam train to, I guess, do they run on electric nowadays? I'm not quite sure, but they'd be much faster. But Søren Bay is back here, not too worried about it. He's working together, and now They're getting over that tiny little bump, and from here on down, it's just downhill all the way. And so that is Fox Hill. They'll be doing it twice. It comes in the beginning of the loop. Every loop is 15 kilometers. So now they have 10 kilometers of either descending or fairly straightforward. So if you can make it to this point, well, this is technically for many the finish line of the race. You just have to fight to get to this point, and then from here on end, it's usually a resting period where you can try and get the heart rate down, sit in, draft. You won't have to sit at 6 watts per kilo. You can sit at 4. You can sit at 3.5. It is interesting, though, because, well, double draft in effect, and we saw this last week as we had a breakaway go up the front with... I should have done my research. It was a breakaway up the front with 2 riders. I believe Draft had 1 rider up there with a non-affiliated next to him. And this was when Leandro Messinio predicted it so far in advance. I believe it was Henry, his name from Team Draft out of Canada. But they broke away. They actually made a 2-man breakaway from the front group of 5. And they won the race in front of Søren Bay and a few others. The same thing could happen here. So even if you make it to the top of the race, even if you put in the effort, with a new double draft team mechanic, if you manage to break away with 2 or 3 other riders, which I think Johannes Hermann could do with the Viking Bergen, if they can get away anywhere else in the course, maybe they can try and cheat the sprinters. I'll be interesting to watch. I have not seen the reverse London Loop raced on double draft mechanics, so I'll keep a keen eye on it. But it looks like Tim Cartwright has made his way back. So has Grimshaw. He's racing in that Swift Fundo, E-Fundo kit. Have they removed the E or no? It does look like the Colombian national jersey, champion jersey on Swift, but I can assure you it is not. It is the Canyon Fundo, I believe, which is in here. So Tim Cartwright has made it back. He's sitting at 145. James Hodges asked in the chat, is Tim on a recovery day? Average under 5. What's happening? See, Kim Little is watching. Frank Deal is watching. Jona Gravdal. Thank you so much for keeping me company, everybody, here tonight. So 10 minutes of racing in. You've already seen the main effort. Now the question is, what do you do next? Was it Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday, where we covered the course, where in the middle of that race, there wasn't much happening, or it could have been Thursday. I think it was Thursday last week, sorry. Every Swift race after a while starts to blend together, unless, this is why double draft has been implemented now, so there's a bit more of a variety in racing, because previously it used to be hill, fight, survive, sprint, finish, win. Kim Little wins, something like that. Now, it's changed a tiny bit, but still, most Swift races do look the same. But there was that race where in the middle of the race, everyone was more content about looking at each other than animating the race and trying to attack. So what ended up happening is that riders just sat around. They just sat at 40 kilometers an hour, 200 watts, look left, look right. The watts per kilo were around 3.5. And there are certain moments on Swift where that happens. And it'll be interesting to see if that happens now. But as for the time being, they're now descending Box Hill. So usually when they race London, they go up Box Hill, but it's, what is Tim Cartwright doing? I think Tim Cartwright heard the call to action, and now he's attacked off the front. He's taken a page out of David Allenby's phone book right here, gameplay book, because he has gone off the front, and then he stopped. What, Tim? Are you okay, Tim? Not sure what that's about. Hey, Martin Bjorvik is in here. Also see Victor Klinkvis and Jonathan Piat. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Swift Community Live. I'm not sure what that was about, Tim, but Tim Cartwright just went up to 12 watts per kilo and then slowed it down. It looks like Johannes Hermann is off the back. Maybe a mechanical, or maybe he pressed A on his keyboard. I'm not sure what happened to Johannes, but he shouldn't really have been dropped. Now he's fighting to get back on. You can see the German national kit. He's on the Tron bike. Obviously raced Swift quite a lot. He's trying to get back in. Leandro Messinio is in the house. Best, strongest rider on Swift. How you doing, my friend? So we got Johannes Hermann 8 seconds off the back. This could actually be the end. This is funny. With the new mechanics on Swift, usually in the past, you just get back on regardless of what the pace of the front was doing. But with double draft, that group is going so much faster. This, ladies and gentlemen, could be the end of Johannes Hermann with less than a lap through. I think he doesn't get back. There's no way he gets back. Absolutely no way. With the new mechanics, that front group is just going so much faster. 9 seconds, 8 seconds. He's still sitting at 6.4, 7 watts per kilo. This is a massive, massive effort from Johannes Hermann. And as Jens Rasmussen puts it, you were so toast if you're alone with double draft activated. Look at this! Look at this! He's pushing out 7 watts per kilo, and he's not even making a dent in that group's lead. 10 seconds, 11 seconds still. This is almost poetry in motion. He's popping his featherweight. It is full-on DEFCON 4 in the Johannes Herman house. He is throwing everything at this one just to get back in. Still 8 seconds. Still 9 seconds. Oh, I'm sorry, Johannes. I shouldn't be laughing, but this is beyond hilarious. So that one group is doing roughly 3.5, 4 watts per kilo, and Johannes is doing his best to get back on. He's not gone below 600 watts, 450 watts. He's still fighting, still fighting. Where is the love for a German national champion as he is coming over the bridge? He's giving it everything. He's now down to 5 seconds, 4 seconds, but this is a massive effort. Matt Sinclair is saying, bye, Herman. 5 seconds, 4 seconds. You can finally see the back end of the group, but those 5 seconds could feel like an eternity. He's still sitting at 500 watts, 885 beats per minute. He's going to make me eat my words. He's going to come back in, but holy bejesus, that effort, what was that? Like, that was unreal for the German national champion of Zwift. Johannes Herman has come back, and according to Casey Shum, someone has gone off the front, and that is Mr. Tim Cartwright, but he's now sitting up and waiting again. So I think that deserves a round of applause, everybody in the chat. That was seriously impressive from Johannes Herman to get off the back and hold it for that long. So if you now ask yourself, just how powerful is double draft? Just how much does double draft mean? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the most accurate representation I could possibly give you of the new double draft. Because in the past, that would be simply so easy to close down. You just have to hold the what he did, and you'd be back in it. But it looks like Golev is trying to bridge across the Cartwright. And if they can get away, that could be quite powerful. Two very strong riders. Something with the Vikings and Cartwright. They might have an inner team arrangement here, but it does not look like he's making quite the move. As they're coming up Trafalgar Square, they'll turn right up here, come back to the hairpin, and then they'll be... Actually, will they go left? I'm actually not sure where they go from this. But anyway, Mason Butler's in there. We got Killian. We got Cartwright still in the front. Cartwright is, of course, one of the massive 10-mile, 20-mile, 40-mile TT like beasts in the UK. He's quite well known for doing that outside, and that does translate to indoor racing, as you can just put down the power, especially on Zwift, and don't really worry about steering or drafting or anything. It's just pure numbers at most times to get back on. That's where a time trialist like Tim Cartwright is in his element. 2 seconds off the front, and I think he is just playing with his prey at this point. So they did in fact take another turn than what I expected. So I think the finish of this is like, they go back down left, and then it's a downhill sprint. One of the toughest sprints on Zwift. CVR World Cup used this one in Vancouver. I saw Mary Wilkinson, who's qualified for the Zwift Academy finales, versus another Zwift Academy hopeful, which is Claudia Behring. I know she's tried very hard to get into that every year. So Mary Wilkinson versus Claudia Behring in this downhill sprint on the London course is so challenging, because you can sprint from so far out and feel like, I've got this, but the pace is so high and you'll run out of resistance because it's downhill, so you'll find yourself changing gears and suddenly you lose yourself in the sprint, and it can be a bit difficult. It can be a bit challenging to time to perfection. It's not like the Watopia sprint that you've done a million times over, that you know you can power that up from 400 meters to go. It's not like the London Classics course where you know as soon as you see a red road, it's time to ramp it up because everyone else is going to be doing it. It's not quite like that. As Tim Cartwright, we're just sticking to him, and I think he's just out there doing his intervals tonight in the peloton. We have 125 people tuning in to watch this right now. Thank you so much, as we've got Fleeman and Søren Bay trying to react to this. This could be a move. But before I get too distracted, 125 viewers. Thank you so much for spending your Thursday evening in my company, or in our company, I should probably say, as you're watching Tim Cartwright, Søren Bay, Johannes Herman, etc. put out real-life efforts in a virtual realm that is Zwift. So if you're enjoying this, make sure to follow Zwift Community Live so you can watch all these replays on your demand, or watch them live, or when you're racing. Maybe even if you're in the front group, we'll also commentate on you. Leandro Messina thinks Tim Cartwright might win this. Victor Lundqvist, hey man, this race is 30 kilometers long, so it's 18 kilometers left. Looks like a bit of a group has come together now again. So Herman now 1 second off the front. It looks like Johannes, we need to have you into the the corner of shame. Because are you just a glutton for punishment? Like are you just a sucker for punishment? Because what's happening here? You've just been off the back. You've just put in the biggest effort I've seen on Swift in a long time, and now you're trying to do a solo breakaway off the front. I think we need to have a talk to your mom, because this is just not sensible. Like this is this is impressive. Well done, Johannes, but it looks like it'll be all in vain as it's coming back together. Fleeman, Bergen, Blair, Bergstev, Golev, Butler, Cernbay, Cartwright, Mueller, Eviola, and that is a 20-man group, 15-man group off the front. Alan Lowe is tuning in. Matt Gardner says Nathan Killian for the win out of Canada. That would be interesting to see. I think he races for Washed Up Racing. I think that's what WUR stands for. So it'll be interesting to see one of the newer teams on Swift that I don't have that much experience with, but I believe next Tuesday, or is it Wednesday, I will be covering the new dirt race, or the new dirt Gran Fondo. Sorry, Matt. I'm so sorry. I'm not quite sure what the name actually is of your race, but I'll be covering the race on Monday. I'm sure Matt can put more information in the chat. But on Monday, I'm getting the dates mixed up. Next week, I'm covering a race organized by Draft and Dirt Racing. So get involved with that if you want to be on Swift Community Live. Get racing, get watching. I have totally butchered that one, Matt, and I do apologize. Cartwright, 6.5 off the front. Not like, I don't want to classify it as a non-serious move, but like he's just going to continue doing this. He's just going to try and continue to try and stretch out the elastic to see if eventually it snaps, to see if eventually he gets someone with him. And it looks like Johannes Herman is going with him, but in doing so, he's bringing the entire peloton with him, led on by Cernbay. So they're trying to get back on, and all it takes is 3 riders, and it's off to the races with these guys. But 3 seconds, 4 seconds. This is Cernbay, Cartwright, Herman. This could be a move. So now Blair's going to have to work hard. This could actually be a real move. It's actually open. It's time, Jesper, to open your eyes as we're coming to the final lap. We've got one more lap of racing. This could be the move. Cernbay, Cartwright, Herman looking over the shoulder. They're being led back by Blair, who's taken a massive turn for that peloton. We will give him a ride on as he sacrificed himself to bring everyone back there. He took a massive turn on the front. Now, they're going to go down here, go over London Bridge, go into the tunnel, come out to the other side, and then do Fox Hill for the last time of racing. As I see, ex-Danish national champion Alex Rasmussen is tuning in. Thanks for tuning in, Alex. Now, they're going to do Fox Hill for the last time of racing today. I expect Johannes Herman to go mental, with a capital mental. Like, this is going to be interesting, because I don't think he wants this group to be together. He doesn't want this group to be this large. He'll definitely not want another mistake as he did last time up Fox Hill. So he's just going to put down the pressure on the front. I'm expecting 6.5 to 7 watts per kilo all the way to the top. And then it's the question of whether can Tim Cartwright follow? Can Cernbay follow? Can Killiam? Can Bergen? And we'll see when we get to that point. Yes, there is a lot of national champions in here. We have the Danish and the German, so there's a bit of a border rivalry happening here. This could be Denmark taking back some of that pride that was stolen from us from so long ago. So obviously, I've got my money on my good friend Cernbay, who will always enjoy watching racing on Swift, as he's always quite entertaining, quite strong. And I'm happy to see, like, there was rumors, there was murmurs about Cernbay possibly joining Fusion, which is the new Danish esports team sponsored by SRS and Wahoo. But I'm glad to see he's stuck with Team Experimental, with the Casey Shums, the Kim Littles, I believe it's Jeff Rooney, Rick Tammy Woods, Scotty Wise. I mean, the list goes on. In the chat is Björn Osenbrink says, Jesper Anchor, thanks for washed up race. You're welcome. Tony Kaplan says, shows how pointless the current draft situation is in Swift. If it behaves, the game can't get more. Yeah. Claudia Bering. Oh, Claudia, you missed your shout out earlier. You should rewatch this. I quickly gave a reminiscent memory of your sprint versus Mary Wilkinson on this very course. So you should probably go back and rewatch that if you want to get your 5 seconds of fame. And other than that, also massive congratulations on your Bike Radar competition win, is it? Or draw? Lottery? Is that how it works? Anyway, Claudia Bering, I believe she won a trip to Girona with Bike Radar and the Swift coaches. And also entry into the L'Etape. So congratulations, well deserved. Now, for the last lap of racing, Tim Cartwright, Fleeman, Bay, Butler, Killiam, Herman. Who is going to take this one? They're about to turn right, ×2, and head up Fox Hill. This, ladies and gentlemen, will be fireworks. Like, bonfire night in the UK times 2. This is going to be fun. So sit back. I hope you've got your beverage. I hope you've got your snack, because for the next 15 minutes, you will not want to leave your seat. This is where the action starts. Well, not yet. They're going to have to... I think they take a left-hand turn here, I do believe. And then up there somewhere is the start line for Fox Hill. So here they go. Here's the left-hand turn. Up on the left side here, we'll see a red marker across the screen. And that's where the hill starts. So on the front already, Herman is already up there. Killiam is trying to get a head start on it. So she is off the front. Or actually, I was reading Claudia's message. He is off the front at 7.5 watts per kilo. Herman is in there as well. I saw a featherweight being popped in the back. But this is 2 riders off the front. Killiam and Herman. Question is, how much has Herman spent already? You could not imagine him having a lot left. Like, the effort he had to put in to get back into the group and then attack off the front of the group, he must be tired. Cartwright is sitting back. He's leading on the chase at 6 watts per kilo. If I'm Søren Bay, the move is just to cover attacks. Don't go in the front. You know you've got the best sprint of the bunch. Sit in, and just hope that it all comes back together over the top. And it looks like he's playing it smart. Like, you can't say 6.5 watts is sitting in, but he's definitely putting out an effort. So here we are. Fox Hill has started for the second and last time of running today. Herman is popping his featherweight now. It does say 10%, but you think he'd be saving it to further up. But he's popping it now. So 8 watts per kilo. He's left Killiam in the wake. Here he goes. 7.5, 8, 7.5. Last time I'm running, they did a 4.56 up Fox Hill. I am expecting a 4.50 from Herman, a 4.45. It will be so fast. Julian Bayer, who also races for Team X, says, Bay for the win. Alex Sankovic asks, how much of a role does a smart trainer play in racing compared to a dumb trainer? So a smart trainer and a dumb trainer, there really is much of a difference when you think of it in racing terms. I mean, watts are watts. I know that's controversial coming from me, but it does give you that extra level of immersiveness to have a smart trainer, to have that resistance change, and especially going uphill, it'll be like changing your gear ratio. It'll be like giving you that extra bit of resistance, extra bit of ability to push out power, as we're seeing Johannes Herman do right now. Also, yeah, not sure about that, Alex. But yeah, smart trainer versus dumb trainer. It comes down to personal preference. I know Kim Little, the UK national champion of Swift, races on 0% resistance. So he could theoretically be on a dumb trainer and would not feel any different. Duane Gran says, yeah, Herman, beast mode is killing it off the front, and it's unreal. It's not. I'm telling you right now. Write down notes. Johannes Herman versus Leandro Messinio. I see you're in the chat, Leandro. I want to see the 2 juggernauts right now of Swift go head-to-head. You guys can pick the course. You can pick the race. I'll broadcast it, but I want to see Leandro Messinio versus Johannes Herman. That would be the battle of the ages. That would be, yeah, that'd be a good race. Killiam 11 seconds off the back, Evola 10 seconds, so far Fleeman. It looks like everyone has just kind of agreed that catching Herman is going to be almost borderline impossible. So he's 10 seconds off the road. You can see they're splattered out in 1s and 2s. So Cartwright is just off the back. Butler is struggling, but he did this last time as well. But he's got the fighting spirit. He'll find a way to get back into that group. Björk said it's off the back. Blair, Bergen, Grimshaw, Mueller, Golev. They're all suffering from Fox Hill because it is really a challenge to get to the top. Meanwhile, Herman sitting at 6.5 watts per kilo, almost at the top of Fox Hill. We'll see what this time is going to be. Matt Gardner says Messinio would crush him. Alan Lowe would like to put $5 on Leandro Messinio. It sounds like we've got a race on our hands, everybody. This is what everyone on Swift wants to see. Who cares about the Wahooligan Super League? Who cares about the KISS European race? We want to see 1 versus 1, Leandro Messinio versus Johannes Herman, because even I don't really know who would win that one. Matthew Drujan is tuning in. Hey, man, the magician, Houdini. So, Herman at 7 watts per kilo. The big question is, who's going to get second tonight? Cartwright is further back. Björksev, Fleeman, Bay, Killiam, and Butler has made his way back in. This man never gives up. Massive chapeau, kudos. I tip my hat to you, sir. Always when it looks like you're about to get off the back, you find that extra gear and you get back in. So 8%. They've got a tiny bit of a kicker left on Fox Hill. Then again, it's downhill until the finish pretty much. So It's going to be good to see. Matt Gardner says Herman should come to the morning grind thunder. Well, you should tell him. You should definitely tell him. 133 viewers in here are watching the Johannes Herman massacre of Box Hill. This will go down in history. He's 15 seconds off the front. The power now, though, well, I say it's over. I really shouldn't because we're on double draft. And you've seen what happened before. Double draft, Herman off the front. If they somehow can pull their resources and they can work together, this could actually not be over just yet. They do have the engine. They have Thomas the Steam Train and Tim Cartwright. Let's see if he can bring this back now. He's attacking over the top on the very last bit here. He should maybe be waiting for the others to try and get the double draft working. The blob. Anthony Porsche is watching as well. Thanks for tuning in, man. So Tim Cartwright off the front, 4 seconds. It does say 30 seconds to Herman, but I think that's the way that Swift calculates the timing. So it's a live, like an instant reaction. There's distance between Herman and Cartwright, so that should come down now as Cartwright is on the flat as well. But 13 seconds, that should also come down to Killiam. It's more like 4 seconds, 5 seconds. But how is this group going to respond now? Because they have 10 kilometers left, roughly 12 minutes of racing. They need to work together, and that's what they're doing. Evola is popping his aero power up. I think he realizes that if he doesn't catch Cartwright, doesn't catch Herman, third place isn't much to write home about, so they'd rather work together. Tim Fulver says, is Herman confirmed as real yet? I mean, he's in the German national jersey, right? Like, you wouldn't get this jersey if you weren't real. Isn't that the logic? I thought Swift and Sada and Swift Power all went through all the different national champion winners and confirmed the fact that they were real. And by therefore, I put my trust into Herman. Like, I trust that Swift would have done the research into him and make sure that he is real. So that is a bit of credibility added to his name. Meanwhile, Cartwright is still fighting to get back into terms with Herman. 5 seconds. He is, if there's someone that can do it, it is Tim. But I'm not sure if it's possible. So going downhill, if he's got an aero power up, this might be the time to use it. Like, I know it's questionable, and I know that's not a strategy most people would do, but this might be it to try and get that extra attack. So we did see the time on the left-hand side. It was a 4:50. Johannes Herman did a 4:50 Fox Hill. So not out of this world, not like a insanely fast Box Hill, but still quick. Hey, Tim Cartwright popping his aero power up. This would be the moment, because now you got to make time back on Johannes Herman. This is where you either make it or break it. You use it for, I think the logic behind this that David Allenby found out is, since you're going downhill, you cover more distance. So there's more opportunities to utilize the aero power up. Is that how it works? Like, the faster you go, the bigger the percentage is? Because I believe I read somewhere it reduces your CDA by 25%. And if that's the case, you would want it over a longer distance. Like, the time is always going to be the same, but if you use it downhill, the distance will be longer. Is that just me making it up on the go, or does that actually make physical sense? I don't know. I don't know. James Hodges says he's not SADA approved yet or opted in. How did he get the German national jersey, though, if he's not SADA? I think to put in that sort of performance, you would have to be approved by Swift. I thought that was the whole point of the national championships, to get real racers in real kit with real prices. If that's the case, well, we might be fighting for first place back here with Tim Cartwright and the other guys. So I would not go too bad. Mason Butler, who is also racing, is saying Tim will get him on the flat. I guess we'll see about that. So 140 people are tuning in right now. I want your prediction in the chat. This is the two juggernauts of Swift Racing, past versus present. Tim Cartwright versus Johannes Herman. 22 seconds. We have about 6 kilometers of flat coming up, 7.5 kilometers of flat. Can Tim Cartwright catch him? I want to hear your prediction in the chat right now. I know it'll be difficult, but I think Tim can do it. I'm hoping Tim can do it. In theory, Herman should be running out of matches. He's used a massive one last time up Fox Hill. He used a massive one, like a massive one, getting back into the group after the descent of Box Hill. Then he attacked off the front on the embankment, and now he's done a 450 up Fox Hill. I know Tim Cartwright. This could get close. This could come back at the very end. Matt Gardner thinks it'll be a bunch sprint. Joe Randall thinks Cartwright is going to take this. And then you got David Crisp saying Bay. Frank Dealer saying Killiam. Yona Grafdal saying small bunch. Everyone believes the peloton is going to come back and take this. That is interesting. If that's the case, that is double draft at work. Herman is 20 seconds off the front. Oh, Casey Shum is saying the pack is closing in. I could be eating every single word I've been putting out there tonight because this, like with Cartwright back in the bunch now and the gap to 17 seconds, it is coming back and you've seen the effect of double draft. Oh my God. I think you're right. I think I can see the gap shrinking. I can see him on the minimap, and with the tunnel coming up, he's going to lose even more time now. This is going to come back. This is going to come back, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I am the mouthpiece and you're the expert. So when I, at the top of the show, said you are my co-commentator, that would make me the play-by-play and you the ex-professional cyclist, meaning you're the expert. So Casey Shum, everyone else, thank you, because this is coming back. You can see it now at the very top. Søren Bay sitting at the back, 5 watts per kilo. Cartwright at 9, the cadence of 70. Søren Bay will have to work a tiny bit here to get back into the draft. He didn't really use the escalator to the full extent, so he's getting back in, but I mean, you're right. Hermann is right there. 4 seconds, 3 seconds. That effort on Fox Hill will not pay off. Somehow, what? Swift Racing, what is... Go drunk, you're home. This doesn't make sense. So, in the past of racing, if you got that sort of gap of any hill, it would be night-night. Like, the drafting would not be powerful enough. But I just haven't witnessed enough double draft racing to see this in effect. So that massive effort that he put out over the top, despite holding 5 watts per kilo and have not gone below, well, now he has 5 watts per kilo, he's coming back together. This is crazy. Like, what has happened to Swift Racing? This is going to take a while to get used. Like, I'm loving it. Like, I'm really liking how unpredictable and how different racing is now compared to the past. I have yet to race a double draft race, so I might be different being in the bunch, but from a spectator's point of view, double draft is mental. Like, that is interesting, because imagine, that's just interesting now. Tim Cartwright off the front again, 8 watts per kilo. I think he's trying to get back onto Hermann. If they work together, he's just closing down the gap. He just doesn't want Hermann to win by the looks of this. Alex is saying it's way more realistic. Double draft is the future. What do you guys think? Like, do you guys think this is the future? Like, Hermann is racing like he did last year. This will be his first experience of double draft. It's caught him. Tim Fulfer says double draft sucks. It's interesting. I honestly can't really make my mind up. And with 4.5 kilometers to go of racing, I still haven't made my mind up on double draft because it's so interesting. Like, no words can really describe, because it doesn't feel realistic from a commentator's point of view, because I don't know if that's realistic. I don't know. This is just me making observations on Swift Racing. It makes me really happy, though, because it makes it for more unpredictable racing, which is exactly what Swift Racing needs. But we'll see. Hermann off the front, 10 watts per kilo. Killiam as well, 9 watts per kilo. Diederik Westerhoff thinks the opposite. Jens agrees as well. Hermann off the front, 8 watts per kilo. Killiam as well. This is the last time up Trafalgar Square as well. Mason Butler, who was chatting before, is now racing. Tim Cartwright, Søren Bay. I am now gonna... we shouldn't really be allowed to scratch our predictions. We should not be allowed. I said Tim Cartwright earlier to somehow make it back. Looking at it now, Søren Bay has got to be the out-and-out favorite. He's played this like the old fox he is. He's just been sitting in, never really taking a turn on front, never doing too much, knowing what he needs to do to win this race. And the Danish national champion, with Dana Bro on his back, I think he's going to take this one. Like, unless somehow Hermann makes another flyer off the front and just does a solo win to the end, which is very likely, which could happen, as we're within the last 3 kilometers of racing. If it comes down to a bunch sprint, we're looking at Søren Bay. Tim Fulfer says an attack from Cartwright is incoming. That's 155 people are tuning in to tonight's Kiss race. Get loving the stream, everybody. Thank you so much for keeping me company. Love every single one of you, including the racers. So Tim Cartwright, we're looking on him. Tim says he's about to attack, so maybe he will. I'm more expecting a Johannes Hermann attack, if I have to be honest. I think he's not too satisfied. I think he was expecting to come alone to the finish line. So if you're unfamiliar with this run-in, it goes through Embankment, which is basically the side they're on right now. They go through it, they go through the tunnel, and then it goes a tiny bit of a rise, and then it's 700 meters downhill straight to the finish line of the Prudential Ride London course. It's a tough sprint, but if you time it right, you can really do some damage. And we're going to have to start looking around at aero power-ups, because Tim Cartwright did use his on the descent of Box Hill, and looking back, it was a poor choice. Jesper, just shut up. So now you really want an aero power up. I'm pretty sure Søren Bay has one. I'm pretty sure Killiam has one. Evola used his at the top of Fox Hill to try and bring it back, so he won't have one either. Butler, I'm not too sure, but I think he would have one. So Bergen is off the back. Dotlev is neither in here as well. So we'll see. We'll see. 2 kilometers to go now. Pace has definitely slowed down a tiny bit in the center of the group. Everyone is starting to play cat and mouse. No one really wants to go into the attack just yet. I think everyone is looking around. We're still on Herman. We're still on Cartwright. Mason Butler is on the front, 4.5 watts per kilo. Just staying there, keeping the pace somewhat high so no one wants to attack. We'll see what's going to happen now. Who's going to have the bragging rights until next Thursday when we race the next time in the KISS road race on Europe on a Thursday evening. Butler, Evola, Björkseth, Fleeman, Søren Bay. That is our group. It's a tiny reduced bunch sprint, but I've got to give it to you. I've got to give it to you in the chat. You called it. You said a reduced bunch sprint, and that looks exactly what we're heading to. So here's the tunnel. They go through this little S-bend tunnel, left, right, over the top of the hill, and then down towards the finish line. Oh, there's an attack off the front. Björkseth is gone. 8 watts per kilo. Who's going to follow this move? 8. He's still sitting at 8.2. 8.5. Mason Butler's there. Killiam as well. They are following this move very closely. So far, no separation. It is still the old man Fox, Søren Bay, who's sitting in the back, just doing the bare necessary. Does he have the legs, though? Last time I saw this, it was actually exactly a week ago, I said Søren Bay was the out-and-out favorite because he didn't do much. But then he texted me afterwards saying he had poor legs. And I'm getting a bit of a deja vu here. This could either be the best display of tactical prowess, or he could just not have the legs. But you see, Tim Cartwright goes. No, Tim Cartwright goes. 12 watts per kilo. This is the move. Johannes Herman is on him. 11 watts per kilo. 14.5 watts per kilo now. Søren Bay, this is the first time we're seeing him near the front. He has to get in the slipstream of Johannes Herman. We're on board, first person view. This is about 800 meters to go now. You can see the finish down there. This is a long move from Tim Cartwright with Johannes Herman neck and neck now. Neither should have a power-up, believe. So Tim Cartwright and Herman, but there's room from someone to come from far back, but it's not going to be. Tim Cartwright rests up for a second, gets back in the draft, and with 300 meters to go, 200 meters to go now, who is it going to be? The German national champion is on the front, but it's going to be the juggernaut of Swift racing. It's going to be Tim Cartwright, I believe, who's going to come around at the very, very end, but they're both dying with a quick peloton chasing on from behind. Can they do it? It's 100 meters to go now, 75, 50. Somehow, Herman finds a second breath, but look at Mason Butler. Come on, Mason. Mason takes second, but it's gonna be Mr. Herman who wins the overall. Mason Butler, I'll give you Peddler de Charme of the night. Under 23, raised his heart out on Fox Hill to get back in there. Massive credit. Søren Bay just lost out in the draft. 800 meter sprint. That is too difficult. Great racing from everybody involved. Massive congratulations to the winner, which ended up being, I do believe that was Johannes Herman, who took first. Cartwright just caught on the line by a fast chasing peloton. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you next time, which I believe will be Wednesday, for the Morning Grind Fondo by Matt Gard.